Welcome back to Seablock, to the series where the island must grow, and it started to grow over on this side. We're going to be able to get a lot more land out of this pretty soon now. We are, however, going to need to make some changes from the end of last episode. First of all, yes, we're going to need to crush these up, these geodes. I did put this in temporarily, but we are going to need to go one step further to get into crystal dust. We'll come back to that, however, first, because since we switched across to crystal slurry, the rest of our factory just sort of collapsed on itself, mainly because we were dependent upon slag being used up to get lots of other stuff. For example, here, I've taken out some of our electrolyzers, more need to come out. But up here at the very top, you'll see I have my chemical plant that produces purified water, which we then use to make sulfuric acid down here. You'll see this is stopped right now, so sulfur dioxide is stopped. That's stopped because lack of oxygen. Oxygen is a little bit in there, but it's shared between these two, and you'll see oxygen is at 0. It's at 0 because we're no longer using slag. No longer using slag means it gets backed up, and that means we're no longer producing any. So we need to get rid of it, or at least we're going to get rid of it to get started with, and we can obviously replace some more of these once we are happy with it. So what we're going to replace things with? We're going to replace things with, I think, first of all, a hydro plant. We're going to switch across to a different process entirely, and we've used it before. I've got a hydro plant in my inventory. I do. That's going to need some more space. Let me put this at the bottom and let's see how well this actually does in practice. I'm just going to delete some of this existing stuff. That should be enough to get this going. One hydro plant. Where are you again? I literally just saw you in my inventory. Where's the hydro plant? There it is. So we're going to have it at the bottom like this. And that just means I'm just going to connect up like that. And I'll reconnect the water. We're then going to choose purified water. We don't need the saline at all, at least not in this factory, so we're just going to discard it. We do, however, need purified water. Okay, so off that goes, and we need to clarify one of them. So we're going to clarify whichever one is the saline, which is the one with the lighter circle underneath. Yep, so we're going to clarify that one, which just means discard, basically, let's be honest. There we go. Okay, off that goes. There we go. So we've got pure water, well, water purification running. And let's get rid of some of these other pipes as well. We no longer need them. Okay, what does that lead to? That means I now have, coming out of this one, pure water. And now I can use electrolyzers to do something else entirely. I can use electrolyzers to input the water, but purified. And where are we actually going to put this? I think I'm going to put this, just connect it there, I think. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to have to rip all this up. Not much of a problem. There we go. And let's just connect it, say there. All right. So from that, we're going to connect across from here. And there's a purified water line. And then we're going to replace our electrolyzers. And now they're going to be producing something else entirely. So I need to get them lined up somehow. I may need to redo the pipework, so I'm not going to worry about the pipework just yet. But let's just put one there for argument's sake. And now we can switch this over to just getting oxygen and hydrogen, no slag. That's the important part. Can't mix fluids. That's because the pipes are all configured wrong. No problem anyway. Now, we do have slag coming in here, and we are going to need to use it somewhere else, but that's not a problem for now. Okay, so there we need to know where we get everything connected to. So there is our one gas, and there is the other. And that can just connect that way, and then this one can connect this way. Okay, and everything now will line up. And hopefully, he says, we have everything we need to input. So up here, we have input. Good, that's working. Here we have sulfur, and that's fine. It's getting fed in here. Doesn't much matter because we've also got sulfur coming from outside the factory as well. Either way, we're going to get sulfur. We need oxygen, however, so why don't we just see what we need to do to get the oxygen. You are blocked on hydrogen. So we do need to flare stack the hydrogen. And let's just flare stack that with an overflow valve. In fact, let me just do that somewhere else. Just so that I don't do that anywhere near here. Don't have an overflow valve. Overflow. I don't, but I can make one. I almost want those to be built into flare stacks. I mean, you know, but hey, it's fine. So that's going to flare stack up. Then we're going to end up with stuff coming in here. Yep, off it goes. And it's going to start generating sulfuric acid again. That was what was blocking up my entire factory. I've also changed over from making the crushed stone in the other factory to making it in this one, just mainly because I had a lot of other stuff coming in. So what I can do now is clean up still further, get rid of a lot of this belt, and of course I can reuse it. Okay, and then we can rebalance everything else. So do I even need the water over here at all now? Looks like I don't even need it at all. So a lot of cleanup to do. I'll do it off camera and bring you back. And with that little stuff out of the way, we've got a line producing sulfuric acid again, which is all good, apart from the fact I've removed every mechanism that produces slag, which also removes the crushed stone that we were depending on right here. That's still fine, because the next step we're going to go and try and generate some more crushed stone by instead crushing geode clusters. So I have this to thank to Bob Jones again, who previously had another episode comment. And yes, he's saying, yeah, you can get lots and lots of crushed stone from this whole process. So what we're going to do is, I think we're going to divert it up here and around, and then we'll come back again later and bring the stuff in back to the left. And we'll, of course, move this into factories as we go forwards. However, we are going to want some crushers, and that is ideal because I've got some crushers indoors that I'm no longer using. Let's go and grab them in here. Not in here. There are going to be movement of those stone and crushed stone, etc., stuff like that are going to be all moved out again. That's all fine. We're just going to remove all of this kind of stuff out of here. Yeah, technically we are probably going to get more slag coming in just as a byproduct of our sort of smelting, that side of things. But I don't care about it right now. I've got plenty in here anyway if I really need some. And that's going to be fine. So I'm going to just pull all this back up. I'm going to head back out. And this will start piling back when I do it. But it's okay for now. There we are. And you know this is the line that was coming back from our smelters. Feels so good to clean up belt, doesn't it? Okay. Now we're going to place down our ore crushers, and let's just put it down along the line, same lines over here. So 1, 2, 3, and we are going to select something. So we can select whatever we like. There are going to need to be another 3 of these, but again, it's going to be quite similar to this array, I think. So let's get that going, and then we'll just connect these up. So I think what I'm going to do is just the usual thing here. Do I have enough? Do I have enough? Ooh, I've got enough for 2 more. I'm going to need more than that. Give me another crusher. Yeah, it's building. Fine. I'm going to need another crusher from somewhere, but we are going to make basically a section of 6 like this. Then all I'm going to do is divert outwards these geodes. So I'll do that off camera, set it up. That's all now done. They're set up on the same kind of belt with an input priority of left here, so it always takes from this existing belt before it starts feeding more in. By this way, we make sure we aren't going to block anything up in the future. On the output, however, we are now blocked, quite happily blocked, in fact. I don't need to do much else other than make sure that all of these have an output. Okay, and let's just have them there. And then we'll just make sure, I think we'll just copy and paste one of them. Shouldn't matter which one, probably. Shouldn't matter which one is going to be the short side, but it's always making sure it's output onto this. That means that we can then separate a couple of things here. We are going to separate out... let's see, we want that pipe is placed awkwardly. That's fine. Okay, we'll cope with it. I'm just going to place it so that we have a filter here. Output priority, we're not going to worry about. We are going to want to filter output priority to the right. So we're going to want to filter out all of the crushed stone. Crushed stone. Okay, and that needs to go to the right. Okay, and then that means when it comes in here, the crushed stone can go up here. That's going to go up and then over, and we're just going to merge it back with this line. That will probably need a little bit more configuring, a little bit. And then all of this is going to come all the way over here, and then we're going to feed it into these that are now going to, instead of geodes, we should be able to switch the recipe to, well, we're still going to get crystal slurry, so it's going to be in this recipe. There we go, crystal dust. Now, you do use the same amount of sulfuric acid, and you do get a little bit, well, you get, it's variable, Okay, so it's 10 crystal dust, but you need more geodes to actually get the crystal dust. The upside is you get a lot of crushed stone from it. So that crushed stone is going to go all the way on that belt at the top. So we're just going to actually process this. And we'll copy and paste it all the way across. Okay. I think that's going to get rid of everything we don't need. Which means I'm just ready to pretty much just configure these with, again, as we've done before. Why don't you... Is that water? Is that really water? I don't think it's really water. I think that's just... The water is a lie. There we go. No more water. Okay. And then we'll just configure them to basically have inserters as before. However, we are going to need to just have them be long-handed, at least to start with. Just so I've got this line here going. Okay, and... I've put this belt in the wrong place. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's already there. My inventory's full. Everything is full. I need to get rid of these geodes. That's the thing. So they take up far too much inventory space each. And we just dump a few of them back into their relevant crushers. And what you'll find over time, however, with this, right now there's one of each. And what you'll probably find is like blue will start to dominate up here because you get more of certain geodes than others. So you may have to balance that a little bit better than this is right now. However, this is right now is processing. You can see it right there. We'll just pick this up, or this belt up for now, with all the crystal dust in it. And then we're going to probably replace that with more inserters here once I get some more ores coming through. At which point we can get things going a little bit better. I am going to want to just put a thing here just to basically balance that a lot nicer. Yep, that's going to come through. And then everything is quite nice from there. I am going to move that down. That is going to irritate me if I don't do it. So let's just do it now. And let's get that going like that. Whoops, I need to make sure I configure this before I do that. Right, crushed stone again. And we will pull that out there. Good. Okay, much nicer. Fine. So we can probably improve the speed of this. You can see right now stuff is being blocked. And it's being blocked quite a lot at the start here because this is sort of the most numerous. So we might want to just modify that. The other way we can do it is just improve the speed of the belt. You'll see it's not making it through here. And we can probably just get that throughput to go a little bit faster and see how all that goes. Do I have enough belt to do that? I do not. I'm going to be short of other stuff. So, yep, I'm going to just improve that off camera. But now we have crystal dust that's turning into crystal slurry, which is going to turn into mineral sludge over here. And we are using all of it, it looks like. So, yep, we may need to add to our filtration units. That took a little while to figure out and make sure all the bottlenecks were sort of eliminated. It is now still restricted by the washing plants and by the amount of geodes we can feed in. You can see this belt is not full yet. And, well, in fact, nearly all of it gets used up before it goes around. It has a chance to feed back to itself. So we know we're able to process all of this crystal, these crystal geocrystals. And we see out here, crystal slurry is low. Over on the filtration units, they now that I've been feeding all this crushed stone back into this factory over here, which I'm using most of it for the mineralized water, but some of it is making it through to be made into sand, which is going out here, which I can pick up. And then all of it is going over here. So you can see we are still short on crystal slurry. The mineralized water is coming through from the crushed stone just fine. So from that, we're going to leave it. I've cleaned up a lot of the belts and where they were actually going to. Maybe it doesn't look too clean to you, but it certainly does to me. So let's get on with the rest of the episode. The other half of the episode, aside from moving across the crystal dust, is that coal processing 2 finished, which means we now can technically make charcoal pellets. And I think they're just made in assembly machines, you know. Which would be easy. They are just made in assembly machines. So charcoal into charcoal pellets. So you can see we've got a lot of this carbon going everywhere. It doesn't much matter with this kind of thing. Your steam engines will burn whatever, or rather the boilers will burn whatever. But we can convert over whichever sort of factory we want first. So where do we want to go? We want to get back to wherever charcoal is made, which is interesting. Here. Okay, so here, instead of pressing it with steam and turn it into carbon, we can basically eliminate that step and replace all of this. So I'm going to take the step of just eliminating bits and pieces. We'll get that out of my inventory. Okay, and let's just get rid of all of you and all of you. Okay, so it's just assembling machines. Do I have any? Oh, of course not. Let's just put that in a box for now, and let me get rid of some stuff that I don't need. Anything? Mud, that will do. Some of these geodes. It always tends to be these geodes. I end up just picking them up just by walking over stuff occasionally. Fine, so assembling machines. Do I have enough resources for them? I do have enough for a couple, and that will get us going. But we are going to need to just redo that. What are we missing? What's that? Why are we not? You know, I bet one of the other machines are full. The wood. Yeah, there's going to be a shortage of iron here to be able to make the blades. There it goes. That's going to restart it. I do need to feed in iron to that. I do keep forgetting. Never mind. So assembly machines, we'll get a couple down here, and we'll do the same layout as before, just so that I can see everything nice and clearly and can always just expand here and there as I need to. So charcoal pellets. So pellets is going to be fine. There it is. Charcoal pellets. And copy paste. Over that is 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's pretty much converted. So that's that entire platform done. And of course, that means I no longer need the steam. Okay, which means I no longer technically need the water supply. Oh, this is so much nicer. And that's pretty much it. I don't need anything else up here either. So in comes that, and that should start being converted over. We can also do the same thing in other places, but what we should find is, if we have a look at the recipe for pellets, we go from 5 charcoal to 1 charcoal pellet. Now, aside from the jump in energy that we get released, it goes from 20, i.e. 5 times 4 there, up to 24, okay, just by passing through one sort of assembling machine. It also gets denser. We get 5 times more on a belt, for any tier of belt, basically. So all of this should end up with a much, well, I say denser. It will end up with more energy per unit belt, if that makes sense. May not, but yeah, that should do just perfectly fine. And we don't need anything else. We just need to wait for this to come through. So I'm just going to check that that's the case, and then I just need to convert over our other factories. You'll see there's one here, one here. This one is our original factory, I think. Yes, it is. And this is being powered by algae farms. Of course, all that we need to do here is, instead of feeding through this boiler, which of course we don't need either, so we don't need steam, we can basically, well, we've got to be careful here because we do need charcoal specifically. We need charcoal for the charcoal filters, unless there's an alternate recipe. Is there a charcoal filter? Can we have an alternate recipe with... No, it absolutely needs charcoal. So we can't just convert over everything. We do need to leave some charcoal as before. And that means I need to feed out some out of one of these furnaces. Otherwise, the rest can go into assembly machines. And there we go. They've started getting replaced. If you want to force the replacement, just basically control click on your boilers, and they'll pick up basically well, it'll pick up one of these 2 random things. In this case, it'll pick up the pellets just fine, and you'll see they're coming through here all the way along the line from the various different places. This one doesn't have the pellets yet because it's just backstuffed with carbon. That's okay. It'll hopefully get used eventually anyway, and if not, you can always empty out one side of the line. You'll see the other side is coming through just fine, and there's no problems there. So I probably will have to clean things out manually. Otherwise, I think the boilers probably will have enough right now that they will never ever use up the, or at least until we have a lot more load, they'll never use up the charcoal pellets. So I'm just going to hold down F on this side of the line, and all the carbon's going to go away and get replaced with charcoal pellets. So that's that replaced, and a much better power source it is too. And with our fuel upgrade trivially solved, back to the crystal, well, the geo crystal clusters, and we're going to just go to a dedicated washing plant farm. I'm going to get another Factorissimo building down, and we can move it across later. But for right now, I'm just going to put it, oh, I don't know, here, here, yeah, that'll do. And we'll just basically connect it up to the rest of the power network. There we go. Yep. So in here, we're going to want to do as we've done before, but this is purely just to generate the crystal clusters. So we don't have to worry about anything else as far as the washing plant's concerned. We're pretty much just going to avoid anything we don't need and pour everything else we can into generating this stuff. So washing plants, first of all, let's just put down a couple next to each other like that. Oops, like that. We know we're going to want to go from heaviest to the next heaviest, so that should be there. And you can see there's other bits and pieces. Make sure the two symbols next to each other are connected and the arrows pointing the same direction, and you're going to be fine. You are, however, going to need to basically get rid of the outputs wherever you put them. So you can see here there are a couple of outputs, and there's also some mud to get rid of. The mud we'll get rid of just fine. Yeah, so mud and concentrated mud water. Yes, but no. Is that the right recipe? No, it's this. That's better. Yes. So out of each of these is going to come the actual geodes. What we have to determine here is how many of these we can just get into this space. We need to have one space at the top to get rid of the outputs, and then we need to feed in these another way. So what I'm just wondering if we can get something like this running, and then let's just pick these up. We can probably mirror them. It depends on just what the fluid inputs actually allow for in this particular case. So can we basically do them that way and just have one there and then this one there? Looks like that will work, apart from the fact that it's not exactly mirrored. Oh, can't mix fluids. Let me just get rid of that for a second. It's not exactly mirrored. I think we're going to have the water going to the top this side. But other than that, it is effectively mirrored left to right and then flipped top to bottom. Okay, so I need to get then some inserters like this. Okay, and we'll lay these out as dense as we actually can in here, just to get lots and lots of those geodes. And with that in place, you can see this belt is now coming out, and it's fulfilling sort of the same role. I've just got the other belt still coming in, just with the dregs, sort of the old setup. And then in here, I've got them set up fairly densely. The main problem is that I've got to have like two different fluid inputs, and I've got to have one fluid output and one solid output. So I've got to have enough space in here to actually do all of it. However, I did just go and grab the other washing machine plants from the other side, so everything here should be sort of set up, and we can just feed it all in together. We may not be able to exceed one belt without some changes here, because we need to go up to a faster belt speed, I would imagine, more than anything else. And otherwise, we should just be able to connect up as before. We can even do a little bit of space sort of saving around here, just by going to that. Ooh, that's a bit of a problem. I can't get water in there. Yeah, I may have to just reroute that a little bit, but I'll do that off camera. And then that's obviously feeding out here, and we've got more than enough to basically satisfy all the geodes we want. However, of course, because it's going around like this, it's basically paused at the moment, and that needs cleaning up a little bit to basically feed in. Otherwise, if this stays static like this, it just doesn't work, because they each need to take off their own colours. The best option you can do there, I suppose, is split it out onto separate belts, but I don't really want to go for specific filter inserters just yet. You can go for buffer boxes and all kinds of other stuff like that, but yeah, not going to worry. I'm just going to reroute everything and sort it out. We'll bring you back in a second. Okay, some belt improvements, just basically upgrading everything to yellow, which will get all these geodes passing by our crushers as fast as they possibly can. Also some optimization on the output, so that these don't ever fail on the inserters that output, basically, so they don't ever stop and wait for the belt to be occupied. This is nicely pouring out. We've got all that crushed stone going in. It gets brought out as sand, which is coming out quite quickly now. And if we just pop in here, I think it's all being turned into mineralized water if it can be. Otherwise, it's just going down past here and down onto the stone and indeed the sand. Back over here, we can see that not all of these are in use, and our crystal slurry is empty. Its output is all being used, so we definitely don't need any more of these filtration units yet. Its output here is not full. and that is being used up inside our factories to make more ore, which of course I'm turning with tin and iron back into yellow belts, so we can just basically feed this stuff faster. And in here you'll see I'm working back here, just getting all of this upgraded to yellow. So let's all go back to there, and this actually should get most of it upgraded, I think. In fact, all of it should be upgraded, and it just needs just a piece of underground there. And that's nicely upgraded. So now all of these should be running at full speed, which is good. It's exactly what we want. And may be able to get even more. It looks like I can fit even more on this belt, which is what I'm going to aim for. I do have a couple more I have one more washing machine that I need to just get into the whole line. But for now, this is working very well. If you've seen any improvements that you think could be made, feel free to put them in the comments. So thanks to the people who have been doing that over the previous few episodes. So lots and lots and lots of stuff coming through here. This will need to be expanded massively. And I did get another comment saying basically, yes, or it may even been Bob Jones. Yes, the problem's going to be that angels and bobs tend to take up more and more and more room. So you are going to need a lot more land, which is exactly why we're using all this crushed stone to make more land, which is cool. But at the same time, we may even not be able to cope with it with Factorissimo, the sort of thing that's giving us all the buildings. We'll see how far we actually get, because at some point you'll be able to get factory buildings inside factory buildings. But even so, if you imagine something this size, inside a building this size, what you may well get is like, I don't know, maybe able to get 8 of them in here, but you have to get inputs and outputs, so maybe 6 or 4. And that will sort of end up being sort of, well, unless you can only have one of these inside, so it ends up being like a tower, which would be fine. So i.e. one corner is occupied, the other 3 are not. You go up one level and 3 are not, and another level, etc. But the usual sort of approach for angels and bobs is just to spread out massively. With Seablock, of course, you are constricted on that, so we've got to be a little bit careful there. But otherwise, yeah, we're getting a lot of stuff coming through. I think from here, what we may want to get to is towards strand casting. Now, I think I did cover that briefly. I did mention it in a previous episode. Strand casting. It does take our existing stuff. Let's get going forward there. Steel pipe, clay brick. We're going to need that clay brick. It's coming into a lot of things, and we haven't got the production line to make it yet. We need cement processing. Okay, our unburnt clay brick. That's still cement processing. And then back there we have these 3 ingredients: clay, sand, and lime. So sand, as you might imagine, you can get from the same thing as mud. It comes out of the end, that thin mud water. We can make from light mud water, etc., and stuff like that. So we can get sand out of it. We can get clay from concentrated mud water, and we can get lime from limestone, which also comes from light mud water. So we're going to have another factory somewhere that is pretty much dedicated to making all the clay bricks that we want. It may even occupy more than one building, but to get started we are going to need at least cement processing, which is just red science, so we can just get that started easily enough, and I don't have to do anything else. It should take care of itself. Up here we already have red being taken care of, and we've even got some green popping out now that I've got a little bit more ore coming through. I may even be able to re-enable my steel, but I don't quite need that just yet, apart from various buildings that just pop up here and there. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for one episode. We'll see you next episode for some more Seablock, of course. Again, put comments down below. Feel free to click on the like button if you enjoyed the episode. And of course, as always, guys, thanks for watching.